Hey guys, welcome back. We have a weekend energy update to get into, and we've got a lot to talk about today. There's a ton going on out there. We really are kind of in the thick of things right now. This energy is indicating a whole bunch of different possible scenarios that could be playing out, but we do have shifting vibes that we're going to be talking about today as well. Both Mars and the Sun changing signs, entering both Leo for Mars, Taurus for the Sun, fixed sign T-square / Grand Cross, if you count the black moon, that we have coming in this weekend, carrying us into next week. We also have Saturn, the North Node, and Venus in a conjunction right now in the sign of Pisces. That is also coming exact next week. Pressure makes diamonds. That's how I'm reading that energy, you guys. But there is something extremely transitional, extremely confrontational, shifting power dynamics, things coming to a head, things being shook and loose, breakthroughs on the verge of being made here. And honestly, it could just be real intense out there as we're moving through the course of the weekend. I think a lot of people could be on edge. A lot of people could be losing it to some extent, perhaps caught in some type of fantasy, ideal, illusion, delusion that is getting hit by a harsh reality. This weekend as well, we do have a Capricorn moon going on that will be coming into a square with Mercury and Neptune in a conjunction. Lots to get into. So let's do that. Let's put it all together, you guys. Take a good look at where we're at as we enter our weekend and how things are unfolding themselves as we prepare to enter next week. Welcome back to my channel, you guys. Today is Friday, April 18th, 2025. My name is Aubrey. This is your astrological outlook of the weekend, where we are narrating the shift of the ages. In this video, we are gonna take a good look at all the energy that we have coming together for us this weekend from the astrological perspective and try to wrap our head around just what's all going on out there and what impact it may be having on our lives and experiences down here, and how things are also setting themselves up for us for next week. So that's what we're doing in this video today. There's a ton of astrology going on out there. In my personal opinion, I feel like we are moving through some pretty epic astrology times. Actually, we've just got like a couple of different aspects that are just sort of like ongoing out there that are just happening at the same time to me, that are, you know, the combination of all this. Any one of these aspects on its own would kind of be having, I feel like, a powerful impact in terms of creating a point of significant transition. But the fact that we've got all of them going on at once, it really just is telling me that we've reached a point of no return in some regard. We are at a major turning point. There are breakthroughs that are on the precipice of being made that are really moving us forward in a very new and novel direction and distancing us from convention, tradition, and the way that things have been done in the past, sort of, you know, microcosm, macrocosm, on a very, very broad spectrum in terms of themes, topics, like aspects and areas of life, what this could be implicating in what, you know, is being affected by these transitions. I feel like it's really kind of just very broad, very across the board. I mean, obviously there are specific themes that are more highlighted in this energy, but I do think that generally we are at a point of major transition, and we're kind of all collectively entering like a new era or a new chapter of our lives and experiences right now that will be unlike any previous chapter we have experienced up until this point of time. So major change on the precipice now. The process of getting to that change, getting to that breakthrough, I think is going to be represented by an environment that is just very, very intense in one way or another over, you know, this weekend and moving into next week. Now, this could be sort of like powerful forces that are confronting themselves within us. Like there is kind of this like devil and angel on the shoulder type of vibe going on, like previous things that have controlled us or had power over us coming to a point of like overcoming those things, making breakthroughs in that regard, or perhaps simply choosing like not to deal with it and exercising some type of escapism tactic could be going on right now as well. I think that we're going to see a lot of people making breakthroughs and things, but also perhaps to the same extent people succumbing to things. We've got a very, very polarized dualistic energy that's playing out right now as well. while we are likely to see, you know, things happening in one specific direction, the polar oppositional direction is equally emphasized and indicated. So a lot of people are going to be moving forward, but also probably a lot of people gripping onto the past as well, that type of situation. So all of that, you guys, sort of as a preface for what I'm about to say about the energy we have coming together this weekend. Now, in terms of these aspects that are just kind of lingering out there that are of this, to me, more significant nature right now. Number one, we have a Saturn North Node conjunction that has been building over this past couple of months, comes to a peak as we move into the energy of next week, and then will still be present for the next couple of months, really, as this energy wanes out. Now, Saturn and the North Node only come into a conjunction together in any sign once about once a decade or so. So this is a more rare energetic activation. Saturn has to do with duty, control, responsibility, structures, forms, foundations. The North Node is the destiny point. This is about either taking back control in some area of our lives in some way, or it could also be about the breakdown or the release of some structure, of some foundation that has had control over us, that has been blocking growth in some capacity. There is another aspect going on right now that is the planet Uranus in the sign of Taurus in an exact trine and sextile to the north and the south nodes of the moon as well. We were just talking about the Saturn North Node conjunction. This is the element of control aligned with the destiny point, and then we've also got more North Node, South Node. The destiny point is the North Node. The karmic point really is the South Node. The South Node is associated with karmic release. And Uranus in Taurus, this is the galactic fixer in the sign of the builder, removing blockages to growth in order so that we can build things in alignment with, you know, Uranus. This is also associated with the sign of Aquarius. This has to do with the most actualized way, in order so that the like true potential of whatever that is allowed to develop in a way that helps it to reach towards that, instead of a way that is like distorted or obstructed by some malformation along the way, because there was something impeding its growth somehow, or something that it kept coming up against, or some blockage essentially that was not allowing it to proceed forth in that manner. Now that we have Pluto transiting the sign of Aquarius, we have Neptune in the sign of Aries, I do think that we are going to see some final push to remove that which has represented the past established orders and hierarchies of power and control in favor of these more decentralized power models that are coming in across, really, again, like a broad spectrum of everything right now, as we transition into this Aquarian age paradigm, and Pluto begins his transit through the sign of Aquarius as well. So really, it just kind of feels like the way that things have been done for a long period of time is going through a major change and transition that is going to be impacting a whole bunch of different things. And right now, there could be like some final resistance that needs to be overcome somehow before it becomes obvious in a lot of ways that things really are moving in that direction. So we have the Saturn North Node conjunction going on. Venus is there too. This Venus Saturn in the North Node in the sign of Pisces also makes me think of like pressure makes diamonds type of energy. And then we have Uranus, the galactic fixer, in a trine with the South Node. That is the South Node, as I said, that's karmic release. There is some like cosmic renovation going on right now in the sign of Taurus that is also featuring or facilitating a karmic release from perhaps, you know, Saturn in the North Node, like that which has controlled us or has structured our reality. There are also Saturn in the North Node in the sign of Pisces, maybe belief systems that have been the foundational constructs of our reality that are undergoing some type of shift, change, awakening right now, that is a catalyst for this like transformation in terms of the way that we're living and perceiving our life and experience going forward. Like, this is pretty, I would say, kind of like, again, like epic astrology, like groundbreaking stuff. I think a lot of people are going to be going through massive awakenings, and again, it is likely to be because of, at least in the energy right now, I feel like maybe of some type of big blow that comes through somehow that like dislodges us, or it's like so powerful or so forceful that it just shakes things loose somehow, or just creates an opportunity for momentum in things that perhaps seemed like they were never going to change. So the thick of things coming next week, I think we are definitely moving into that energy as we hit Friday and head into the weekend. I'm not honestly even sure of like what that actually means, but it does just feel like we are reaching the critical or the crucial evolutionary push somehow. Gridlock, pressure cooker energy, both the heat and the pressure may be turned all the way up, something coming to a head, a boiling point, boiling over, conquering or being conquered. Brace for impact. That might also be some type of good advice that we've got going on. So we've got the North Node Saturn, we've got the Uranus and the nodes as well, and then we also have this gridlock energy coming in. We've got 2 planets changing signs. On Friday, Mars enters Leo, and on Saturday into Sunday, the sun enters the sign of Taurus. This is, 0 degree, early degree, fixed sign T-square with Pluto at 3 degrees of the sign Aquarius right now. And also, if you guys have been following along with my channel, I've been talking about how the black moon, ruling our shadow side issues, fears, worries, insecurities, and doubts, also recently entered the sign of Scorpio, beginning a 9-month transit through the sign of Scorpio. The black moon is activated by conjunction and opposition to whatever planets are moving around it, and with the sun entering Taurus, you guys, that's setting up an opposition from the sun and the black moon, while we have Mars opposite Pluto. There is some major underworld energy, you guys, that is present this week as well, in the context of whatever this either breakdown or seizure of control is, regarding whatever this cosmically facilitated karmic release, ushering in some major change is. Something coming to a head, something colliding, something just like pushing things to a point where there needs to be some type of breakthrough. We need to overcome whatever these powerful forces coming up one another are. And with the black moon and Pluto prominent, that is, again, like the shadow side, like what's been hidden in the darkness, what's been lurking underneath. This is the temptation, this is the insecurity, the fear, or even like addiction. Like, these are the powerful forces that play, a significant role in our actions and our behaviors and like how we feel about things, but are not necessarily aligned with what we consciously want to do and be and create for ourselves. Bringing up to me again like the whole notion of like the devil and the angel on the shoulder type of sentiment going on this weekend, heading into next week as well, and coming to a point maybe within ourselves where we are finally winning some internal battle that has held us back or held us captive to maybe habit, routine, the past, tradition, our own like just ways of doing things that have been set in stone. There's things happening right now that could be just creating that small amount of movement necessary to unlodge the entire whole thing and allow things to start changing and moving forward somehow. When I think about this energy, I keep getting this visualization of like logs, like logging, like flowing down a river, and then them getting like all jammed up somehow, some way along, the meandering course, and then all of a sudden like one big huge log or something comes and like delivers such an impact that it like shakes things loose or like jostles things just enough that like the current can start to unlock that log pile and let things flow again. That's, I don't know, how I'm seeing the way that this energy is setting itself up. So we've got the we've got the Saturn North Node, we've got the Uranus South Node, we've got the square between, and fixed signs also, you know, that's another reason why I'm saying that. These are fixed signs. That's like where we're dug in. That's like stagnancy. That's like the immovable. It's also determination. It's also like sheer willpower. True feats of like manifestation driven through this like insane willpower could go on this weekend as well. Another thing that like I've been saying and been picking up on over this past couple weeks, like we can absolutely move mountains, you guys, in this energy, like if we're not letting the mountains move us, you know. Focused, channeled energy, will, motivation, courage, strength, given over to the goal with the vision that just like will not be diminished. We're gonna see some really truly like probably like amazing feats of labor come into fruition and take place in this energy, but then also like the utter breakdown, the utter dismantling, disintegration, the total demise of things could be going on as well. This energy I feel like is forcing this disruption to things that have been fixed in place for a long time. We're being forced to move or to act or to take action with this somehow. And it could be being driven by some event that is just so powerful that it just creates that tiny bit of space that allows for things to begin to come unlocked somehow. So, and with the black moon and the Pluto element of things here, like this could also be things getting a bit ugly. We've got the light, the sun, like the full light of the sun illumination opposite the black moon in Scorpio. That could be, you know, like seeing the ugly truths about things, like seeing what's been festering under the surface, really like shining light into the shadows and gaining a conscious awareness of perhaps what's been hidden or what's been like overpowering us somehow. But this can also, and it does also, give us the ability and the aptitude, more so than in other energy, to conquer our fears and to take that power back and to shine the light of awareness. You know what I mean? It's like the darkness only holds power when we can't see what's in it. But once we gain an awareness, you know, once we have that enlightenment, once we understand, then we are put in the position of power, because we now have no fear of, you know, what's hiding in the shadows, and therefore it doesn't have control of or power over us. Which again, we keep going back to these issues of control, we keep going back to these issues of power, shifting power dynamics, breakdowns in control, but also regaining control. And remember, we've also had this ongoing Saturn-Mars trine, regaining self-control. I do also think that this represents perhaps a lot of people taking back like financial control, monetary control, control over their own like resources and assets and stuff. Maybe, I don't know, like deciding not to outsource that type of thing anymore and to be the one directly over it. With Venus in the conjunction to Saturn in the North Node as they go through their conjunction this time around, that is and also Uranus in the sign of Taurus, which is ruled by Venus. This is also happening during the Libra full moon cycle. I'm telling you guys, there is something about the Venus energy, whether it be the financial, economic end of the Venus energy, or the relationship, partnership, other people orientation, or like the legal, balance, justice, peace orientation, or the artistry, creative energy, music, musical, like beauty, image end of things. There is something about the Venus energy that is undergoing some like structural breakdown and change right now, and the pressure that is being applied on that is somehow very, very directly related to all the other changes that are going on right now. Like again, Uranus is the galactic fixer, the great rectifier, brings blessings in disguise, also the great awakener in the sign of Venus in Taurus, and also in the trine to the South Node that's facilitating a karmic ending. So I don't know, but I just feel like there are major either value-based, financial-based, changes to come, or we could just, the Venus areas of your life in some way could be undergoing some type of major transition and change. We'll just put it that way and move on, okay? But with the Black Moon and Pluto, right, this is the root fundamental issues of things that could be exposed, dark sides showing themselves, power, possession, obsession, fear, greed, addiction, all central themes. We're talking about both Pluto and the Black Moon energy. And then, as I just got done saying, things to do with money, resources, possessions, assets, value, currency, property, partnerships, all of this could be driving some of the tension going on right now as well. But whatever comes, I do feel quite sure about this. It may not be immediately perceptible, but from a retrospect position, like future looking back, I do think that this sort of is the bridge that we're crossing that is going to put us on that new path that really redirects things moving forward. A victory for, I think, the future is supported in terms of whatever comes out of the tension that is building right now. The transition is going to be away from the established order and the established way of doing things. This energy will favor breakthroughs in the direction of the new and the novel and things that we've never done or tried or experienced before, as opposed to convention and the past ways and what has been established, what has ruled, what has been king in terms of just the way that things are done generally. So these gridlocks, forcing change, we're having to do things different for one reason or another. We do need to be patient with people this week. We do need to give them space, and we need to give space to ourselves as well. I think giving grace and holding space for ourselves and others is probably a good behavioral practice to use as we move through this next couple weeks as well. It also, this weekend, is feeling kind of like all work and no play type of energy, or at least a more serious, like somber vibe. Responsibilities, duties, maybe like organization or like work obligations weighing on us. Again, like maybe just a lot of pressure or overwhelm that is going on right now with such a prominent Saturnian influence. People will probably also, here's another thing to just might help you to be aware of this. People are probably not going to be like overtly affectionate or caring or even like overly nice as we move through the weekend and into next week. Don't take it personally, you know what I mean? Like, don't further contribute to, you know, the tension and the just general like strife and kind of discord and conflict oriented energy that we have going on right now by reacting to somebody's kind of like standoffishness and like taking it personally and like thinking that it has something to do with you. More so, it probably just has something to do with some like internal struggle that that person is going through, or just not feeling super soft and fuzzy, because with Venus and Saturn together and just all this other stuff going on and this T-square / grand cross and the fixed signs, it's not that type of energy. So we don't want to you know, make things harder on ourselves by like internalizing the whole thing and like creating relationship conflict that doesn't need to be there because somebody's just not acting the way that we think that we should or we're accustomed to or we would like them to. Let people cope, let yourself cope also, and I just think we should give people space and do our best to be patient again and like give grace to the best of our ability to ourselves and to others, because this really is a struggle. Like, this is a lot of intensity. There's a lot going on at once. These aspects, even in isolation, would be creating an environment for, you know, stressful change to be going on. But when we're just getting slammed like this from every angle with all this energy that really is pushing for the same thing, again, like, it could be very overwhelming to people, especially people that, you know, really find their grounding in security in feeling grounded and secure materially, because there could just be a lot of things in flux and things happening, you know, quite suddenly and just in ways that are definitely like not as comfortable maybe as we would like them to be. People are prone to be losing it. You guys, we have Mercury and Neptune in a conjunction at 0 degrees of Aries. That literally is kind of like crazy making energy. on one hand, and then it's actually being squared by the moon in Capricorn. I'm not sure that is doing necessarily the best things for our mental health as we get the weekend started. I'll talk a little bit more about that as we get near the end of this report. But the Mercury-Neptune conjunction that is also being trined by Mars, who is ruling that conjunction. Mars rules the sign of Aries. That's where Neptune and the North Node are. Neptune at 0 degrees of Aries right now. That is another very significant energetic shift that we have had lately. We haven't had Neptune in the sign of Aries for 165 years or so. So we've got this, you know, new cycle in terms of the Neptunian energy that's also going on right now. So, and Neptune has a tendency of just kind of, especially with Mercury there, like, brain fog, not seeing things clearly. There is definitely a lack of clarity of perception in some regard when we have Mercury and Neptune together. And so that's a dimension of this energy as well. A lot of people, I think, could be seeking, and it's also an energy that can bring on escapism, especially when it's being trined by Mars in Leo, who's in that square. Besides the crazy-making tendencies that we could see in the lower octave expressions and manifestations of this energy right now, I do think this is huge red flag energy, like very huge red flag energy for suicides and drug and alcohol overdoses. To the same extent that people are really going to be stepping into their like toughest and most motivated and willful self to like forge ahead despite whatever obstacles they may face and like conquer and overcome, which is a huge part of this, like make these huge personal breakthroughs and that lead to some type of personal upgrade or evolution that maybe our soul has been working on for like lifetimes, or that our family has been kind of karmically moving towards to generations. Like we've got that type of groundbreaking energy going on right now, but there's also, I think, a lot of people and souls that are just going to be succumbing to the pressure and looking for an out essentially by any means necessary. This is also a very, very self-sacrificing energy. Guys, be careful what it is that you're believing in. Be careful what basket you're putting all of your eggs in. Be careful what you're pledging yourself to. A lot of things right now are not actually as they appear. There is just as much as this energy is invoking the spiritual warrior, which it is, Neptune in Aries, while Mars is in the sign of Leo, opposite Pluto in Aquarius. Like there is a major dimension of spiritual warrior energy. This is the day of the spiritual warrior. However, this is also energy that indicates like the great deceiver, okay, or like a great deception, or like extremely deceptive actions. And because of the self-sacrificing nature of this energy as well, I mean, Neptune, this is the martyr, this is in the sign of Aries, this is putting it all on the line for some higher purpose, some higher calling, some divine inspiration, some righteous fight or battle or belief-based, like willing to go to war for some belief or something like that. We just want to be really careful because that is super, super activated right now. And I think a lot of people are going to be kind of laying it all on the line for some intense beliefs about things. But the problem with it is that it all could be like some type of like fallacy, or perhaps we're not seeing things totally clearly. Or again, just like really wanting to escape and get out of situations to essentially like our own detriment, our own sacrifice, or our own demise somehow. So be careful about that. And people that you know that struggle with depression or, you know, suicidal tendencies, or have a tendency of going overboard in terms of the substances, keep an eye on them, because this is energy that to me is just really blaring some warning sirens about the I don't know, the potential for that type of thing to be much greater than normal in an energetic setup like this. So there's that. You know, a lot of things are probably going to feel very unreal as we move through this period of time. The like darkness and light like coming to a head as, you know, a metaphor for a whole myriad of different things, but specifically also this like truth versus illusion, and like the truth will set you free, but people like clinging to dear life, to the illusion, to the point of like choosing to sink with the ship. We're going to see them both. Very dualistic nature to the energy that we've got going on right now. Battling addiction, battling temptation, lots of people making tremendous breakthroughs, lots of people choosing not to fight that battle, and again, rather to cling to the old ways and maybe, I don't know, go down with the ship or take another path that is gonna, for some reason in alignment with their soul development, delay their, you know, process of overcoming that issue for a bit longer. So really, I think that's kind of the general vibe that we've got going on, not only this weekend, but coming up through this next week. And again, like this energy is peaking. We have the Saturn North Node conjunction happening exactly on like the same day that we have the Mars Sun square opposite Pluto and the black moon. Exactly. And guess what, you guys? Where do you think the moon is when that's happening? I'll give you a second. It is with Pluto in the sign of Aquarius. So as we move into the energy of next week, like I said, like there just seems to be like there's something big that's going to happen. Microcosm, macrocosm, maybe it's just some realization that we come to. Maybe it's not anything groundbreaking in our own lives, but it's just some subtle shift that goes on within us, or some final stopping point with something, or something that we just lose a taste for all of a sudden, and for some reason we're not going to continue to do it, or some way that we are finally coming to a point of like altering our behavior or our lifestyle, our habits, our routines, or something like that. Any of those things, or just taking back control of something in some way, moving like our physical location, that could also be a part of this. But I do think in some small way, all of us are going to be letting go of something that has defined us in the past somehow to an extent, and transitioning into something new in some way that we haven't gotten into before or experienced before, or even, I don't know, maybe just something that we've always wanted to try but never have. It could go any of those varying ways, okay? Physical energy as we move through this time as well could be quite low. If you find yourself feeling drained, just like generally kind of like unenthused, burnt out, tired, Mars trining Neptune. Remember, Neptune breaks things down, it dissolves things, it dissipates things. And we've got Mars, and as also Neptune in the sign of Mars in Aries, in a trine to Mars in Leo. That is draining energy levels. That is also just like suppressing our like vigor, you know what I mean? Like our like gusto and get up and go and like physical vitality and stuff could feel a bit suppressed in this energy. Of course, the Saturn North Node conjunction could also be doing that. Uranus in the trine to the South Node in the sign of Virgo could actually also be doing that, but that more so is like draining energy out of like our day-to-day lifestyle. You could become very like bored or disinterested and just like feel like you need to change or switch up what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. Otherwise, you're just like falling into some funk or depression based on just like the like a sense of, again, like boredom or disinterest that could be coming through also. But physical energy, you may just find yourself like not feeling your most active self this week. That would be a result of this energy. But it's interesting because on the mental level, we're likely to be mentally stimulated, mind racing, mental energy because of Mars and Mercury in the trine as well. Mercury is our mind, our thoughts, the messenger planet. There could be a lot of news and information and conversations and dialogue and like things going back and forth real quickly as we move through this time as well. There could also be like a lot of distractions going on. It could be presenting a bit of a issue with our ability to like stay focused and like keep pushing forward somehow. So you might feel burnt out, you might feel exhausted. This could also manifest in terms of like being really tired or feeling you're sort of at the end of it, but also having this like massive burden or massive workload or big job or push or occasion that you need to rise to that is coming through simultaneously this weekend. That is one way that this Grand Cross could be presenting itself as well, that is like forcing you to move or act when you really kind of just like feel like doing nothing. And it is a good weekend to relax, you guys, if you can, to be around water also with the Mars Mercury trine and Neptune there in the sign of Aries. Also, this is like anything that like cleaning, washing, purging, cleansing things. This is very supported in an energetic setup like this as well. Could represent some type of colossal cleanup effort, renovation, or demolition that is going on. Would not be surprised if a lot of people are getting involved in that type of stuff this weekend. Also, getting rid of things. Highly emphasized right now too. Material possessions perhaps could be part of this active release, selling, divesting, decoupling, uncommitting, unenmeshing ourselves, maybe even like getting divorced from things or people or friendships that have been foundational in our lives and perhaps holding power or control over us in some way that cannot continue to persist. Big changes are probably going to follow, again, for the 100th time in this report, whatever it is that comes to a head as this energy presents itself. It's about taking back personal power, taking back self-control, and as I think I mentioned this earlier, people taking back more responsibility over like their assets or their finances, resources, maybe things to do with like land or food or property, also like arts, artistry, creative control. I think artists may be taking back creative control of things more prominently this weekend. There could be something, I don't know, going on to do with that. But lastly, let's talk about specifically Friday, this Capricorn moon that we've got going on, forming a square to Mercury and Neptune in the sign of Aries. Mentioned this a couple of minutes ago. The moon in Capricorn coming into a square 90-degree angle, coming like at odds, coming up against Mercury and Neptune in the sign of Aries. Mercury and Neptune together, this is the vision, this is the dream, this is the fantasy. In the sign of Aries, first sign of the zodiac, you know, pulling the trigger on something, surging ahead. This is about like chasing the dream, the ideal, the vision. But the Capricornian moon right there, you guys, especially also Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. Saturn is with North Node and Venus, right? Like this could be issues to do with like financial strain or financial concerns or financial pressures or things to do with like rules or authority or even like realistic, practical concerns about things at odds with those plans or those visions or those dreams or ideals that we may feel inspired to pursue in this energy as well. So it's like the practical issues of things or the authority or somebody like casting a judgment or a criticism that clashes with whatever, you know, maybe fantasy or vision we've got in our mind about something or some idea, creative idea or something that we've got going on right now, which could be kind of, you know, dampening our spirits, souring the emotional state, somebody raining on our parade, disappointment, you know, or causing control issues maybe, or just depressing things, making us feel low, critical, judgmental, contributing, I do think, in maybe some ways to this breaking point energy that all roads seem to be leading towards as we head through the weekend and prepare to enter the energy of next week. Now, just one last note, Mars is, as I said, entering the sign of Leo, hitting 0 degrees of Leo. That Sabian symbol is under emotional stress, blood rushes to a man's head. I have some experience with people that have Mars at 0 degrees of Leo, and this is a very loose cannon energy. This is not an energy that gives us the emotional capacity to deal with anger, okay, in a way that doesn't include just like totally flying off the handle and becoming a complete maniac. In the trine to Neptune and Mercury with Mars at this degree, again, we could really see some very belligerent behaviors or actions going on and people are probably if they are lacking in the capacity to exercise self-discipline in this energy, probably having a hard time keeping a lid on things, okay? And that goes right along with the pressure cooker setup of all of this. It is an explosive energy. We could see some true eruptions here. Very volatile emotional environment. As I said, you know, this is mountain moving energy. We've got profound will and strength and determination if we are applying that discipline. If we're not applying the discipline, if we're not applying the self-control, things could get real crazy, okay? I'll just put it that way. And I've been saying this for a while now. I feel like for a couple of weeks. I do feel like the linchpin in this energy is our ability to practice self-discipline and self-control. Proper implementation of that, totally laying some very, very strong and sturdy foundations that are going to support the development of some probably successful and fulfilling new reality that universe is trying to move us towards. On the other hand of that, an inability to hold ourselves to a standard, be accountable, and maintain a level of self-discipline and self-control, it could all be coming down. Okay, so that's what I got, you guys. That's what I have to say about the energy for this weekend. There's also a very like cognitive component of things right now. A lot about gaining wisdom through experience that we are applying in our conquest to overcome perhaps some of the things and blockages internally or externally that have held us back in the past. And again, like, it's really funny. We have the South Node at 27 degrees of Virgo. This Sabian symbol, like, always makes me kind of chuckle, but with the South Node there, it's aristocratic elderly ladies drinking afternoon tea in a wealthy home, kind of like the epitome of, you know, a more maybe like high class status quo going on, with that being the position of the South Node. Again, I feel like there are shakeups because South Node is what we're releasing. It seems like there are shakeups to the status quo going on that could be affecting us materially and just like our levels of maybe like comfort or stability in terms of what we expect, what we're used to, what we're accustomed to, and also maybe some type of like social dynamic in that regard as well. Interesting placement for the South Node at that degree in the context of all this other stuff that we have going on. So that's really what I have to say today, you guys, about the astrology. This is like, it's just very climactic, energetic times that we are moving through right now. And I know that it's like the dominoes that are the chain reactions that are being triggered in this energy are gonna lead to some very big snowballs that drastically transform the nature of our lives and realities and experiences here on planet Earth moving forward. So that's what I'm gonna say about the astrology, you guys. Let's get a synchronicity card now. I'm asking God, Spirit, Universe, what do we need to know? What should we keep in mind? What should we remember or tell ourselves? What prompt do we need as we're moving through the weekend? And our card says, don't envy another. This Grand Cross that's setting up, you guys, with the Black Moon and Pluto, that is like jealousy, envy, possessiveness. Again, it's like that Black Moon energy that's being triggered, the fears of loss, the fears of losing, the fears of not being powerful, of not being in control, of not like having our material possessions rooted in the insecurity and the fear of loss. Could be one of the, and especially with this Venus energy, that's the relationship dynamics. This could be something that is like an issue or a theme that we're navigating this weekend as well. Our advice, don't envy another. Let your conduct be without covetousness, Hebrews 13:5. Remember, you cannot have that which belongs to another. Instead, wish for something very much like what the other has, but never the very thing. For the time being, be content with what you have. Perhaps things are not as they seem. And that could very much be the case as well. We want to be really, really careful being jealous of other people or wishing for what someone else has, because we never truly, know the whole story behind that. And in my understanding of things, if something is truly meant for us, we will have it. And if you find yourself desiring a certain thing, it probably is because that thing is meant for you, but it's the version of that thing that is meant for you. It's not the version of that thing that is meant for someone else. So, you know, we can be inspired by what other people has, but we also need to maintain the faith that if we have a desire for it, it has a desire for us, but it has to be the version of the thing that is meant for us. The best way to get there is to continue to like work towards our goals, and in this energy that requires the self-discipline, disciplining our mind, disciplining our emotions, disciplining our body and our actions as well, when we've got this very strong Saturn North Node influence going on, and also maintaining the vision and maintaining the faith that, you know, we keep moving, we keep working, or we keep working, we keep moving forward, and when the time is right, whatever that thing is going to align with us. But just like this card says, you know, it's just clearly not going to benefit us in this energy to waste our time and resources envying someone else's version of what it is we want. We're better off making ourselves into the individual that is going to attract that thing quicker. So that's my 2 cents, you guys, and this is what the universe wanted us to know at this time in this video as well. Don't envy another. That's what I have to say for our video today, you guys. I hope you liked it. If you did like it, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, you guys, share it with your friends if you think that they also would enjoy this type of astrology content. Leave me comments. I'm so grateful for your presence on my channel. I'm like, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much for being here. If you are having experiences that do line up with what I'm talking about in these videos, please let me know in my comment section below. Super relevant, super valuable information to me. So grateful for you guys again. If you want to know what's on this whiteboard, I have a Facebook group where I post images of all my whiteboards in my description box below. Click that link and that's where you can find the full pictures of the boards. Come back with me on Monday, you guys. We've got another big week of astrology to get into. Again, things are heating up, so I will be back to talk all about it. You don't want to miss it. I will see you then. Lastly, you guys, I want to give a shout out to the jewelry company Otter. Today I am wearing 4 of their bracelets. Actually, I've got a selenite bracelet on this hand. I have golden citrine, tiger's eye, and a howlite solitaire bracelet on this hand. I'm really liking this combination together. If you like these bracelets and you want to get some for yourself, I have a promo code for 20% off in my description box below. Also, you can click that link and get 20% off your order. Great way to support my channel and get some really pretty crystal bracelets for yourself. And as I said, you guys, come back with me on Monday. I'll be here. I'll see you then. Have a beautiful weekend. And until next time, bye guys.